Faith never saw this coming after 23 years of marriage. Fans of country music know that Faith Hill and Tim McGraw are the biggest power pair in the genre. They recently shocked everyone by announcing after 23 years of being together. Fans didn't see it coming. They were just two artists trying to make it in the business before they took over country music. They met for the first time at the New Faces show in Nashville, Tennessee in 1994. Faith was fresh off of a split from Daniel Hill, a music production executive, when they met. They got married 6 years ago. On the other hand, Tim was seeing Christine Donahue. Even though they only met for a short time, it made an impact on both of them. Private announcement. Faith Hill and Tim McGraw have been important people in both their lives and in country music. After a recent date, they used the time to talk about some things. Their relationship has never been normal, but the latest news about them came as a surprise. Teaming up on tour. They hadn't seen each other in 2 years, but they would soon spend a lot of time together. On their 1996 tour called Spontaneous Combustion, Hill and McGraw were the main acts, but the stars were still not lined up. McGraw and Christine Donahue seemed to have a strong relationship, but he broke up with her. This time, though, Faith was engaged to record producer Scott Hendricks. Things looked like they were going to fail, but on the first night of the tour, something changed. As expected, there was obvious energy between the two attractive people. As they shared the stage, everyone could see how well they got along. As the trip went on, things got more heated between them because they were on it together. How could they say they didn't like each other? Faith was engaged, which made things more difficult. She couldn't keep her eyes from drifting, but she had to make a big choice. Faith had to choose whether to stay with her boyfriend or go out with Tim. Unfaithful. Faith wouldn't have much time to decide. Faith said yes to Tim's invitation to come back to his changing room after a show one night. They were still angry with each other, even though they had become close during the trip. Took the plunge and made his move while he was in the locker room. They kissed for the first time and knew that something real was going to happen. Faith changed her mind about the proposal and did what she wanted to do. After a short time together, they became a real power pair. Their friendship was getting better every day because they were on tour together, and their feelings for each other kept growing. Soon, their fans would figure out the big secret and love every second of their public relationship. They were together for a few months before they went to Andre Agassi's Grand Slam for Children event in September 1996. That was their first public showing together. Since Faith broke up with her ex-boyfriend to be with Tim, many of her fans were mean to her. She got a lot of mean comments from fans who were interested in her love life. It was an honest answer. I can't stop people from judging my character because I was engaged to someone and then left him for someone else, she added. But I wasn't going to let Tim get away from me, and I felt better about myself and respected myself more than not. The unexpected news. Their relationship was moving quickly, and in late 1996, they got some great news. Faith was pregnant and going to have a baby. It was a surprise to everyone, especially their friends, that she was pregnant. However, everyone loved seeing the couple at events where Faith could show off her baby bump on the red carpet. Everyone thought Faith would be a great mom, but there was still one thing she didn't have. Tim was ready to make their love public by getting married before they had the baby. He was sure that he had to marry Faith. He talked about the moment. It was raining and all, and we've been on tour together for a while. We were joking about getting married. That's what I said. I looked at her, grabbed her hand, and slid forward on stage. Her show was over. I told them, I'm serious. I want you to marry me. Faith wrote yes on the board when Tim left the stage, looking in the mirror. The wedding. Now it's all the rage for famous people to get married in secret. But Faith and Tim were two of the first people to do this. They lied to their family and friends to get them to come to Rayville, Louisiana for a baseball game and a show. Instead, they showed up at Tim and Faith's wedding, which was a surprise. At the time, Faith was 3 months pregnant and got married to Tim under an oak tree. She wore a white dress and no shoes. Tim looked great in blue jeans and a black coat. There was no doubt that McGraw had strong feelings for Hill, even when he was with someone else. He was sure she'd make his life different for good. His words, "For me, there was an intense physical attraction. She must have seen it in my eyes. She said, 'I don't want you around her.' But this made things worse for his ex, who knew something wasn't right and that she was leaving." Indescribable feeling. Faith Hill had been open about being adopted when she was young, but she later talked about how she felt when she met her real mother. "I just stared at her the first time I met her," she said. "I'd never seen anyone who looked like me. It was amazing to see someone from your past. It makes me feel good." Faith wasn't sure how she'd feel at the meeting, so this feeling came as a surprise. Faith talked about how great her relationship with her adoptive parents was, but she couldn't help but thank her birth mother for letting her live with them. She said, "I can't imagine the choice she had to make, and I'm so grateful that she was able to give me the chance I did, because I was put in a wonderful home that pretty much made me who I am today and gave me my backbone." Newlyweds. Hill and McGraw went to the American Music Awards together in 1997, which was one of the first times they were seen together in public. Hill was very pregnant at the time, and even though she was wearing a white dress, her bump was clear. There was one clear thing: they were deeply in love and happy to tell everyone about it. Also, they couldn't wait to tell their friends, family, and everyone else in the world about their happy news. They didn't tell anyone about their feelings until after they got married. In short, they both felt the same way about the other person. McGraw said, I think we knew right away that we were going to be together forever. There have been many famous couples that didn't last, but this one seems to be different. They're known as one of the most unique couples, and their relationship has lasted to this day." After 9 months, fans were finally able to meet Hill and McGraw's baby. The time had finally come, and in May 1997, a little girl named Gracie Catherine became their first child. So Hill took some much-needed time off to spend with her family. It wouldn't be long, though, before they made plans to have a second child. They loved each other more and more as their family grew. What happens on tour? Hill and McGraw were always together, both at work and in their personal lives. They spent all their time together at home, in the studio, and behind the scenes. Because they were happy being together all the time, they named their tour bus the Love Bus. Hill said shyly, "That bus has a lot going on." But Faith and Tim were the only ones who knew what happened on that bus. Groupies have never been a choice for them in their work. Faith was very good at taking care of others. Even though she was famous, she took her family life very seriously and made sure her daughter had the best childhood possible. In conversation, she would always talk about how happy she was to be a mom, and she would get very sad when she wasn't with her family. "My biggest fear is so far away that I can't even think about it," she said. "Not having my family with me. I can't even say it because it makes me cry." Making sweet music. Hill played music for 3 years after 4 years of hard touring. During that time, she had her second child, Mary Elizabeth, but her comeback turned out to be a duo with her husband, Tim, whom she loved. The song was called "It's Your Love," and it was a huge hit right away. Their success on their own only meant that they could do even better work together. They were strong on their own, but what about when they worked together? They were stronger than before. Even though McGraw loved his family very much, having a family changed his life as a singer in a big way. "It gives everything a focus," he said. "You feel like you understand everything and know where your life is going." The words, "You just find a peace you never had before," spoke to every loving dad and husband. It looked like Faith and Tim's lives had a lot more meaning after they had kids. So many people loved their song, "It's Your Love," that it stayed at #1 for 6 weeks in a row. In the end, it even won awards, including a lot of Academy of Country Music Awards. But for Faith, it's not just a song, it means a lot more. She said, "It doesn't feel like anyone else was really watching." The couple made a lovely promise that they would never be apart for more than 3 days. Working marriage. Around the turn of the century, Hill went back to working alone. She put out an album called Self-Title, which showed off her raw singing skills, while also giving her a pop sound that wasn't usually associated with her. They worked together on songs like "Just to Hear You Say That You Love Me," Let Me Let Go, and The Secret of Life. The record was a big hit for fans, so the couple announced a new tour. Before 2000, the two country stars had never been on the same tour as the headliners. With their Soul to Soul trip, they changed that, and one of their children went with them. They liked going on tours together because they could split the money and didn't have to spend any time apart. Throughout the tour, Tim and Faith seemed to be very happy with their relationship. However, rumors were always going around that they were going to break up soon. Hitting back at rumors. The couple was very upset by the constant fairy tales the press told about how unstable their marriage was. Faith replied, "I've had an affair with my hairstylist and a female makeup artist. My marriage is trouble, and Maggie's not Tim's child, the doubters. They don't have to agree with me. I have too many things going on. If that's what they want to do for fun, that's fine." Celebrity marriages can be hard to keep together, but Faith and Tim were able to do it. Faith and Tim were so happy together that they would talk about how great the other person was in interview after interview. In the year 2000, Faith told everyone how much Tim had meant to her. He told her, "Tim has given me strength, confidence, and my base." Because they loved each other so much, Faith had another child in 2001, and they named her Audrey. They felt great, but it wouldn't last. Finding comfort. Tim knew that he was a result of his father, Tug McGraw's work. But before he met Faith, he'd never really thought about what it meant for his life. Tim finally told someone about his self-doubt. "I knew I had that instability and dysfunction in me from the way I grew up. Once I met Faith, I knew I needed her to keep me grounded, strong, and on track. But he needed her even more than he knew. Funny or crazy things will be said about anyone in the public eye, and Faith Hill was no different. Tim McGraw, on the other hand, is her biggest fan and is always ready to protect her honor. Tim might even be more mad at Faith for being insulted than Faith is. Critics who attack my wife bother me," he said. "It makes me want to go see them and punch them in the nose." Patriotic family. The famous country artists have never been shy about how much they love their country. They often show their pride in public. Additionally, they're huge fans of the U.S. Armed Forces, so when they had the chance to play at Fort Bragg, North Carolina in 2003, they chose to do so. After praising the troops, Tim told the military people in the room, "Faith is just cool. She's a really smart lady who has everything together and knows what's important to her." Battling addiction. Tim had kept some things from other people for a long time. For the first time, he was honest about not being able to act without first having a few drinks in 2008. Tim knew he needed help. In the end, he said, "Faith saved my life from myself more than anything else. When you're not happy with yourself, you can go down a bad path, but she always pulls me back up. I'm a better man because of my wife." Ultimatum. Tim knew that Faith wouldn't stay by his side forever if he didn't start making big changes to his life, even though she'd been there with him the whole time. She was about to lose it, and Faith knew that her husband needed some tough love, even though she loved him very much. She finally told Tim that she and all three of their girls were going if he didn't change how he dealt with things. For Tim, martial arts were a way to fill the void that drinking had left. Tim and Faith still love each other as much as they did when they first started dating, even after many years. Tim told us that one of their success keys is how well they can talk to each other. They both know that being able to talk to each other freely is important to their relationship. He said, "Faith would be perfectly happy if I told her, 'Let's get in the car and ride for 2 hours and talk.' That would be as big a gift to her as anything." Pushing each other's buttons. Tim and Faith seem to have a perfect marriage. However, if you pay close attention to their words, you can tell that they sometimes have problems. As they sing together, "I know that sometimes you hate me and we spend most of our days together with you trying to change me." A lot of people were shocked when Faith said she likes a good fight and knows how to press those buttons. And when she's mad, she can push those buttons. Things get dull between McGraw and Hill after 20 years together, but there's still something sparking between them. One way they do this is by acting together, which brings them closer in a special way. Tim talks about the shows and says, "The memories we've made each time we've gone out have been the best memories of our career." He also says, "We have 2 kids in college. What else are we going to do?" Fighting with Faith. One thing that can't be avoided in a relationship is fights. Even though we don't want to believe it, Tim and Faith also fight. It's not as bad as it sounds, though. Their disagreements are the kind that makes you want to fight because they don't play on each other's greatest fears or make each other feel bad. Instead, McGraw said, "The last argument we got into, he didn't load the dishwasher or something." We bet Tim did load the dishwasher the next time the subject came up. Healthy Hill? In 2017, a lot of people began to worry about Faith's health. This was because it looked like she was losing too much weight. Fans were afraid she'd lose weight and even thought she might be sick. Professionals believed. Doctors thought she was just worn out from traveling and might have been thirsty or even having a heart problem. A person close to Hill, on the other hand, said she just skipped meals when she was busy and had stepped up her workouts. The best memories. Even though they've been together for more than 20 years, McGraw and Hill still have that spark. One way they do this is by acting together, which brings them closer in a special way. Tim talks about the shows and says, "The memories we've made every time we've gone out have been the best memories of our career." He also says, "We have 2 kids in college. What else are we going to do?" Some couples have a hard time keeping the spark alive, but Faith and Tim still seem to be deeply in love. They've been together for a long time. When asked why, McGraw joked, "Well, she tolerates a lot. I think that's probably the main reason." Faith laughed, but she also said that Tim tolerates a lot and that she's not the easiest person. She said the real secret was simple. We do actually like each other.